Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, President of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, we're going to be talking about furnishing your own financial apartment. And this is really targeted to our most recent college grads getting out there and getting started, or somebody who just needs a refresher on, hey, let's look at some of these basics that, I did know at some point and now I've just gotten away from it. So, you've graduated, you've landed your job. Now what? You could be relocating across the country or just across town, but furnishing your new digs is also a good time to start incorporating healthy financial habits into your lifestyle. So if you can get your financial house in order so that your personal finances are supporting your short and long-term goals, you'll be better off now and down the road. In fact, let's think of this system as a financial apartment. So how do you furnish your first apartment? It may not have been glamorous, but you found a way, and it got or is getting you through your first time living away from home. And building your own financial apartment is a lot like this. Here are 5 ways you can start. Number 1, make a budget to stay on track. Let's face it, you may not have much floor space to work with in your first apartment. Much like the square footage, you may not have an overwhelming amount of money to work with as you start your career. So, in a sense, every penny and every square inch really does count. By figuring out where each cent is actually going, you can establish greater control over your finances. You may have heard the word budget so many times that it's lost all meaning, but having a plan to stick to will really help you control where your money goes. Without it, you can inadvertently buy all kinds of things that you don't really have the room for or the money for. You should include 3 categories in your budget. Savings is the first one, and about 10 to 20% of your salary is what you should be saving. Putting away at least 10% of your salary is essential. And the second item would be necessary expenses. This should be about 60 to 70% of your budget. And that's going to be your bills, your food, your transportation, monthly debt payments. You know the drill. And the third will be about non-essential expenses, about 20 to 30% of your budget. And we'll call this segment the live a little category. So if you're having trouble with the third one, try to incorporate value spending into your budget. Here's how it works. Imagine you're on a cruise around the world without access to the things you normally enjoy. What are the 3 things you miss the most? Concerts, Netflix, Grubhub. If it's not on the list, consider cutting it out of your monthly expenses. You'd be surprised to find out what happens when we only spend on what really matters to us. Item number 2, pay yourself first. When you're moving into a new apartment, the first thing you may notice is the floor. Luckily, rugs are key to covering up messy carpet or scruffed up hardwoods. Think of your savings as the rug in your financial apartment. It's essential and one of the first things you should tackle. As mentioned earlier, you should prioritize saving at least 10% of your salary. And it can seem unreasonable at first glance, but time is on your side. The longer you're invested, the more time your money has to grow. For instance, consider that you make $50,000 a year. So you would save $5,000 a year. You invested in equities, and after 1 year, it's worth $5,400 before taxes and inflation. Now, of course, we're assuming an 8% return and not negative markets. This is just for, explanation purposes. But after 5 years, that $5,000 could be worth $7,347. And when you retire after 40 years, that small amount you put away could be worth over $108,000. You can set up direct deposit to automatically invest 10% out of your paycheck. It's easier this way. After all, you can't spend what you don't have. And I talk to people about this all the time. Having automatic deductions from your paycheck going into different accounts is a great way for you not to spend the money, because once it hits your spending account, guess what? Oh, well, that's for free grabs, right? But if you separate it and put it into different accounts, you get used to not spending it usually. Also, many companies offer a 401k plan or 403b plan to help simplify retirement savings. A lot of times they often match anywhere from 3 to 6% of the money you put in as well. So taking advantage of the match increases the amount you're able to save. It's also important to understand all the benefits of your company and what they offer. A lot of times they'll offer a 401k plan, health insurance, wellness programs, student loan forgiveness, or reimbursement. And of course, there's some companies that offer employee discounts. Don't be afraid to ask questions. These are important and can make a difference in your budget. Finally, you should consider starting your emergency fund. Ideally, this fund should cover about 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses like your rent, your bills, your food, if you run into unforeseen trouble. And that's where it should start, 3 to 6 months. And then you can just keep building it upon from there. Putting away even a small amount into your emergency fund each month will add up over time. All right, you know we're going to talk about debt. So number 3 is minimizing debt. So your floors are covered and you've started moving some furniture into place. The next thing to consider is probably the walls, right? Unless every tenant before you is extraordinarily cautious, you may find some holes or dents. Your goal now is to not create more holes. Think of holes in the wall as debt. You're trying to get rid of it without making the problem worse. So, example, currently 45 million Americans have student loan debt totaling almost $1.7 trillion. So if you graduated with debt, you are not alone. It's a big area of concern for college graduates. You should consider incorporating these repayments into the necessary expenses part of your budget. Note the minimum monthly payment you need, as well as the interest payment. If you have any room in your budget to start paying a little extra each month without sacrificing what you're putting towards your emergency fund and retirement, it will help shrink that balance quicker. You will definitely thank yourself later for getting it off your plate, and you'll have less added interest to pay. Just like holes in the wall, minimize new debt if you can't avoid it altogether. For instance, you may be thinking about buying a new car. Instead, consider buying a used car to lower both your purchase price and interest payments. It's generally a good idea to avoid any buy now, pay later offers that simply delay the debt. By incorporating large purchases into a budget to avoid debt now, you can keep your financial apartment's walls damage-free and have less to worry about in the future. Okay, number 4, we're going to avoid common credit mistakes. Now your walls look great and you're ready to start decorating them. Maybe you have a theme in mind: sports, vintage, black and white. Themes are good. They can make the space feel like your own. But when you have too many conflicting themes in a small space, it can easily feel overwhelming. Think of your credit as themes in your apartment. It's a good thing, but you want to be selective about how much and which kinds of credit you have. If you haven't already, now is a great time to open your first credit card. But just make sure if you do that, you only put on there what you can pay off when the bill comes in. So you get a bill, you should be able to bring that down to 0 every month. The key to using your credit card responsibly is to not let it get out of control by falling behind on payments. It's a good idea to incorporate paying your credit card bill into your monthly budget routine to make sure it's on time. You should also try to maintain a low or no balance, as credit card debt really can accumulate easily. Using credit wisely can help you maintain a good credit score, which does have many benefits. You could qualify for lower interest rates, have a higher chance of getting approved for rental houses and apartments, and receive better car insurance rates, to name a few. The easiest way to ensure you have a high credit score is to make all your payments on time. You can also check your score for free through services like Credit Karma and Credit Sesame. 51% of recent college grads missed at least one credit card payment by more than 30 days within 2 years of finishing school. What they may not have known, however, is that one of these missed payments can lower your FICO score by 100 points and can stay on your credit report for up to 7 years. In other words, credit slip-ups can stay with you and be difficult to correct. So it's easier to stay on the right track now rather than repair the issues later. Use your card responsibly, and just like your apartment's charming and coherent theme, it will benefit you. All right, step number 5, educate yourself on finances. Even when your apartment's furnished, decorated, and you're all moved in, you'll quickly find out the work is never done. Organization projects, maintenance issues, and decoration upgrades will likely keep you busy until you move out. Likewise, you always have more to learn about your finances. Countless resources, including books, podcasts, and YouTube videos, exist to make your life a little easier in the first few years financially on your own. You also want to think about hiring a professional. If you want your new place to look at its best and you had the money, you'd hire an interior decorator. Likewise, if you're furnishing your first financial apartment, you should consider working with a financial professional who knows your personal and financial circumstances. Even if you're just starting out, having an experienced guide help you lay a firm foundation and potentially help you avoid costly mistakes. And one day, you'll appreciate the perseverance and dedication you put into securing your financial foundation from the beginning. So your call to action today is to create and review your budget regularly. You want to look for areas to improve as you go. And you also want to interview a few financial professionals to see if you can find somebody to work with that you will get to know, like, and trust and work together. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com, and I am on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Forge Wealth. And on LinkedIn, I'm Regina McCann-Hess. Have a great day.